Get closer.
I guess I don't need this.
Gary, you're a little cropped off. We're live now, but that's okay. Do me a favor. We have nobody with us, but can you log in and stand there for 1 second just to see if you can hear their voice?
Okay. Pretty neat little setup.
Yeah, that's okay.
La, la, la,
Hey
la,
guys,
la, la.
Obed just said hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good morning.
Bright and early, yeah, that's correct, Obed.
Yeah.
We have Gary Moulton, Michael Verska.
Adam Fonseca.
I'm getting there.
Jim,
you said there was a
Jim
pause.
I want to hear from you guys. How's the audio sound for you guys?
No say? You know no say?
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
can you hear us?
Is that better?
All right, cool.
All right,
cool.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Adam, kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are here way early, much earlier than anyone else, before the show opens, on the floor in the Callaway booth, joined, of course, by Gary and Michael. We got a lot of questions in the thread already. We want to hear more questions from those of you on live right now. And so, guys, before we get a few of those questions, which JB will throw over to us, you know, we're excited. We talked a little bit on the podcast last night. There's a lot of things that we're excited about for today. First and foremost, just the feelings for this morning, things that you're interested in seeing a little bit. What are your guys' impressions so far?
So far, I've been overwhelmed by the equipment, and I realized walking into this morning that, good Lord, there's a lot of floor that we haven't covered, and my feet are going to be barking today.
Can you kind of explain, I don't know if they can hear me because Mike's over there, but
Sure.
Can you kind of explain why it is we didn't walk the whole show floor while a lot of media outlets are just walking up and down aisles taking a quick picture? We're doing some content that they can see later on.
Absolutely, yeah. We stayed a lot in one half of the floor, which is mainly the big OEMs and a few of the smaller ones too, to get a good look at the equipment. And then throughout today, I think our plan is to go through some of the more aisles to get a better look at some of the others that are here. But, you know, one of the reasons, Michael, that we wanted to actually focus on these companies is because of all the exciting new tech that's coming out, and we got to see a lot of it yesterday.
Yeah, it is. There is some amazing new stuff this year. There is some more marketing and less amazing when you dive in, but that's probably true every year. But you know, some of the big people, specifically Callaway, some of the other ones with massive R&D efforts, have really done some amazing things. And you know, hopefully the THPers, when they go out, they'll see that in the launch monitors. They'll see that. By the end of the day, I won't be able to talk, so I felt great. I still feel great. My feet feel good, but the voice is already starting to waver. But yeah, there's some great innovation here. One of the things that's going to be cool is as we go to some of the small ones, I think there could be a few that we're surprised by, that we haven't heard of. You know, I'm staring at a bunch of the Odyssey putters. At one point, Odyssey was a all-astronomic head, right? There was no metal. It was just a hunk of astronomic with not the greatest shape on Earth with the shaft stuck in it. And look what Odyssey is today. We know that we could see another one of those type that we look at it and go, wow, maybe it's not there yet, but this has real potential. And, you know, 10, 15 years later, you're standing at a 20,000 square foot booth.
A question that Michael can probably answer, and I'm going to ask you to repeat it so
Absolutely.
you can hear me, is how important is it from the person on the other side who used to launch products to launch at the show, i.e. the Wilson Staff model irons or the Cobra wedges or the Lynx driver, or does that not really matter as much anymore when you're looking at flash and things like that?
So the question that came through is how important is it to actually launch at the show as opposed to before, and what are the benefits of doing that?
So there's a couple ways to look at it. You know, one is how are you going to maximize your marketing dollars? So you know, if you're a company that you know really thrives on fall sell-in, then launching at the show doesn't make a lot of sense because you're going to need those those boots on the ground, out selling to all of your green grass, to all of the shops in the fall. If you're a company where you know the quarterly or yearly numbers maybe aren't important, or you have a sales staff big enough that you can come in and do it later. So I really think there's no right or wrong answer, right? And launching June 1st, that's a miss, right? Because you miss the whole golf season. But whether you launch in October or January 1st, I really think it comes down to what you want to do with your brand and what your brand can handle from a sales effort, from a dollar, from a marketing standpoint. So again, there are wrong times, but I really don't think there's one or the other. But if you wait to launch here, you're spending all this money.
Right.
You really have to make it a big deal. And I think that's where if I was going to criticize any of the companies who did launch this week, is I don't think they made it as big a deal as they could have.
Right.
So there's no issue with launching here. In fact, I personally, from a golf industry standpoint, I'd like to see more of that. 20 years ago, most products were launched at the PGA Show. And certainly all the big ones were, because this is the big event. But we've kind of walked away from that. So if you're going to wait, I think you need to make a splash. And some of the companies did a good job with that, and some of them I think, did a poor job.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you for the compliments on the coverage, guys. Another question came in, actually in a different format. They didn't just type it in here. They want to know from a pure tech standpoint, from an R&D person, and then again from the people who aren't R&D people who are covering it, what is pure tech stood out the most?
Oh, so the question that came through is from a pure tech standpoint, as well as the opinions of R&D expert versus guys who might not be. In fact, we're not.
No, we're not.
What has stood out the most from a tech standpoint? Gary, do you want to give your input first?
Yeah, from a tech standpoint, I think, and I hope to God I get the right answer here, and Michael, we're about to find out, but I think what Callaway's done with the AI is the best tech story.
Yeah.
Being able to start from scratch and really refine things with a supercomputer that no one else has and can do.
Yeah, right. We haven't talked to him at all about that yet.
Yeah. So we have an appointment coming up with Callaway today to get some really good content, but that is the buzz, and we haven't even talked with them yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Michael?
I did talk to a couple of guys who I know personally about that. We haven't done the official pitch. I think you're unquestionably right. What they've done is not potentially industry changing. It is industry changing. I don't see any other way around that. And it's not going to happen overnight. But I think Callaway's made a clear leapfrog from the design standpoint. And I haven't talked to Callaway about this particular thing, but even them, this is their first foray into it, right? I believe this is great, amazing tech, but now they're one step ahead of everybody else. So the next person to get it is already going to be behind. Now, obviously, you can catch up, but in an industry that typically plays leapfrog, Callaway's already got to make one leap and working on a second one.
Ask him to explain the story he explained last night
about
when revolutionary tech came years ago.
So revolutionary
You don't have to say the company or the tech part.
Okay.
Revolutionary tech came a few years ago. We were sitting around the condo last night. You shared a pretty interesting story in that regard.
Which one was that? I talked a lot last night. Remind me.
Inverted.
Oh, the inverted.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry that.
We're getting cues from the director.
By the way, I don't drink. I'm completely sober. I was completely sober last night, but I did talk a lot last night. It was great to hang out with these guys. They are incredible people to talk golf with. So one of the things that's very different about the Callaway AI tech compared to a lot of other tech, if you had a face story and you were in the industry, it's pretty easy to go walk down with your credit card, plop it down to your nearest golf store, you buy it, you cut it open, 5 minutes, you download the patent, and 5 minutes later you can go, this is pretty cool. Wow, it does look like it worked. How do we get around it? Or how do we get around it and improve upon it? So, that's one of the things that's interesting, and I don't think that's a secret in the industry. Obviously, you can look at every other face outside of Callaway's. There's a lot of similarities there. They're not the same, but there's a lot of similarities. It's thicker in the middle. It thins out. There's usually some sort of structural ribs radiating from the center in some direction, and that's your face. What Callaway has done is, one, even if you do buy it and cut it open and look at it, it's completely worthless information. If you change the angle of the skirt angle, you change the stiffness of the crown, the stiffness of the sole, you change the radius of the sole, that face would not look the same. So they've come up with something that can't be easily, readily, cheaply, quickly duplicated by any other company. Because when Callaway does their next driver, it's not going to look like that. Because AI is going to come out and go, hey, this area was thick before and it needs to be thin now. Or, boy, this needs to be the thinnest we've ever made here, and now it's going to be the we don't know.
Right.
And actually, Callaway doesn't know.
Right.
So it really is a technology that they've come out with that can't be replicated. Now, other people are going to buy AI and get out, and you're going to hear, I'm confident you're going to hear that story probably next PGA show. But what they've done is truly revolutionary from a cost, from a hiring, from a head count. It really is great, and again, it's going to be different than everybody else.
Yep.
We got another question.
So Mizuno finally brought the ball from Europe and Asia to North America. Do you think this was a good time and kind of one of the benefits of Mizuno for doing that, especially at the PGA Show this year?
Another question that came in regarding the Mizuno golf ball. It's finally here on the North America side. You know, it's been in Europe for a long time. Do we think that's a good idea at this point? Do we feel that? What are your expectations from the Mizuno golf ball?
So, I don't have a whole lot of expectations out of the Mizuno ball because I really don't know a whole lot about it right now. But I can say, I'll leave the more technical expectations to Michael. But I can say that we talked about launching at the show, and I feel like Mizuno's ball had a prime opportunity to take their spotlight, and I don't think it did, especially even in their own booth. So my expectations for it based on the booth aren't very high, but I am excited to get it in hand. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
Your booth looks like an Apple store. It does, white tables.
Yeah, there's a lot of white, and it's a unique look in that booth as well. I mean, I don't necessarily have extremely high expectations. I'm not a huge golf ball nut by any means, but it's something that I've heard a lot about from that company, and I finally get the chance to see it and potentially play it as well. But from a tech standpoint, what are your expectations?
So I think it's a good golf ball. It's been around for years. I mean, this is a new version. Mizuno golf balls have been around for years.
Right.
Now, from a macro perspective, I think from a consumer, it's great, right? It's one more option.
Exactly.
If you're not overwhelmed and willing to test, maybe the Mizuno ball is right for you. From a Mizuno standpoint, it seems a little odd to me, taking focus off, irons are their thing. They have a driver that is on hot list, and I think they're a little excited about. So obviously they're going to be pulling marketing dollars and pulling focus from a driver, from their irons, which are their Halo product,
right,
and putting on golf balls. So that seems a little strange to me, but at the same time, think about all of, and not in a negative way, Eris golf, cut golf,
right,
vice golf,
yeah,
on and on and on. This is the era of golf ball proliferation. Whether that's sustainable, we don't know, but now is the time if you want to say, hey, I want to get a golf ball in the market is receptive to at least hearing that story.
Sure. Yep.
Now, whether or not it penetrates, whether or not they get sales to make sense, from the consumer standpoint, great. Understand why they looked at the market and say, let's do it. However, it is going to take focus and marketing dollars away from things that I believe would be more in Mizuno's wheelhouse.
James, can you repeat that question? Retype it. It came on the screen and went away.
James, if you could hear it, we need a repeat of the question. It came up on the screen, vanished quickly.
While we wait, I have a follow-up from Michael. Going back to Callaway's face technology, does that render reverse engineering basically dead? Because if you change one variable, haven't you changed everything along the way that the computer would then have to figure out?
In a great way, yes, it has. Obviously that when you do that, the face isn't the only story, right? They have movable weights, you have carbon crown, you have aerodynamics, you have sound. There's lots of things that go into it. But the face is obviously a critical factor. It's the part that makes contact. So for that part of it, yes, it is rendered reverse engineering essentially useless for a key, and some would argue the keyest feature of a product.
So the question was, Arcos seems to be spreading.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that from the guy's standpoint? And I'm going to ask you to go ahead and, in a generality, speak about what we spoke to Ping about and why
Sure.
we left there rather confused.
Okay. So there was a question that came through, guys, about Arcos, and it's something that's spreading and technology like that. What are impressions regarding that technology, and maybe a little bit of commentary related to how it relates to Ping? From my perspective, as a guy that really loves data and to learn as much as I can about my golf game, it's something that the game has improved the game. At least it's improved my game. And so I'm very excited about it. And I love the fact that some companies are integrating it into their products. But I think, we've learned a few things this week that might be a little confusing to some, but I want to stop there and throw it over to you guys, your thoughts on Arcos as
Me
well.
first, you first.
Go for it.
So I think Arcos, and ones like Arcos, we happen to be the question about Arcos, but there's other brands that do just as good or close to good a job. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. We're talking to a lot of club junkies. We're talking to a lot of club nerds here, guys who want to make their game better. I'm not trying to be any negative here to anybody, but there is no driver that you can buy this year. There's no set of irons you can buy. There's no putter you can buy that's going to help your game more than getting and using this data.
Right.
So there is not a driver out there that's going to save you 4 strokes. It is not unreasonable to think if you got Arcos, looked at the data, used it in a reasonable way, that you could drop 4 strokes off your game from using, from getting rid of the 4-iron that you hit 3 times a year and putting a club in your bag. To understand there's really, no matter what you think there is, there's only 6 yards between your gap wedge and your sand wedge.
Right.
So those are type of things that will help your game. I am actually talking to JB specifically and in general, but I mean those are the type of things that can help your game right now and tangibly immediately. Go buy a great driver, get fit. Is it going to help your game? Yes, unquestionably, but it's not going to be 4 strokes unless you are using the worst driver on earth for you right now.
Right.
So the data, when we talk about, hey, I want to be a good golfer, not just I want to look cool or I want to have the latest gear, things like Arcos, any sort of data management system where you can learn about your game, again, if you use that prudently, that is going to be an immediate effect to your game. I am 3 strokes better. And you didn't take a lesson, you didn't buy a new club, all you did was play, look at the data, get rid of your ego, and make changes.
You were more informed after that point.
Unquestionably, yes.
For sure.
And then the second part is why there was a little confusion at the ping booth. I don't understand why the confusion's there. It sounds like they are still moving forward. It's going to be filling the irons. The driver, it sounds like it either is or isn't right now, and I'm still not sure. It sounds, I know that sounds crazy, but that's really what we know. We know it is coming.
And it's not like we spoke to the director of communications for 30 minutes.
JB's prompting that we did. We talked to the director of communications, great guy, but there was not a clear message there. So again, there's a lot of great people at Ping that make some great, incredible products. Marty, who designs, in charge of a lot of their designs, is the best, golfer in the industry without questions. They've got a lot of great things going for them. This is one I think they're 3-putting for bogey, and they still have to make a 6-footer to get that bogey in. So.
For sure.
Okay, so we got another question, and it was about, as you walk through the clubs and you see all the stuff, and we talked about what was the thing that stood out. What was something that you walked through, and whether it was the club or the aura, quote unquote, around it, was a swing and a miss for you?
Oh. So something that we noticed, perhaps, another question that came in, something we noticed that maybe was a swing and a miss for us as we were walking around the show floor. For me, I'll kind of think of a few things here, but, there's some brands that are coming out. We just walked in today and I saw Yonex, and I didn't, we were actually joking about this in the way, and it's like, wow, we've walked this hallway 4 times and we never even noticed it until right now, and there's nobody in here. And so now I understand there's a lot of cost with the size of the booth and all of that, but that just kind of speaks to the marketing of your product. I mean, I had to do a double take to say, oh, that's where that brand is, and I think there's probably a few others like that throughout the show that I can't even really think of top of mind right now. But if there's something specific that stuck out to you guys, it was like, wow, they could have probably done a little better with that.
Yeah, there's no big swing and a miss in my book because I had no expectations. Obviously, this is my first PGA Tour show, so I don't know.
Or
PGA merchandise show.
Oh, wow, PGA, wow. It's early. It's very early.
We had a late night last night.
Yeah, yes. So, PGA merchandise show. And no big swing and a miss, but what I have heard from various people is that some booths didn't really change, and it's presenting the same message. And if you're not personalizing to this year's message, this year's tech story, I think it's a lost opportunity. So hearing that, although I can't verify it, was surprising and disappointing.
Yeah, Michael, anything?
Actually, interesting, kind of along those lines, and JB's off camera, you guys didn't hear it, but he made a comment that one of the booths looked like an Apple store.
Yeah, it did.
Which if you're Apple and you're producing iPhones that look like they do, then the Apple Store makes total sense. It fits in your brand, it fits what you're trying to do. But I think there were several booths here today that tried to be on trend, on point, whatever term you want to use, that maybe doesn't fit with their... Yeah, on fleek.
Please don't say
my son just threw up in his mouth back at home if he's watching.
I don't know what that means, but
I don't
it sounds
know.
cool, yeah. But it's trendy. It's now. However, it's not really their brand, right? It doesn't fit in with what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a mixed message. Just what you are, own what you are, be proud of it, and go with it. And so again, there's several booths that they look wonderful in a vacuum. But when you correlate that to what their messaging is, their color scheme, what they're presenting, it comes off a little antiseptic.
I'll say
you made some people's day by saying on
I will say one quick additional thing that I just thought of that was in terms of the aura that was kind of missing. I didn't feel too excited in the Titleist booth, I have to say. We went in there, we talked to a lot of great people, a lot of great products. Everyone loves that brand, but I think we all kind of walked away, and let me know if I'm wrong, we all kind of walked away and saying, oh, all right, well, on to the next one.
Everything was present and accounted for. Nothing really stood out, with the exception of the new balls being prominently displayed. And I'm just going to throw this one out to the group.
Yeah.
What do you think of the packaging?
we were joking about this yesterday at the condo. I mean, I don't want to come across as too negative, but I mean, I think the word that was used last night was a prototype box. I mean, that's kind of what it looked like. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I will disagree in the booth. I thought Titleist did a nice job with the booth. I think it fits in what they're doing. I'm surprised that they didn't, because the ball is it for them, right? And it's brand new. And while the ball was front and center, it certainly didn't dominate, which is interesting because it makes me think, hey, are they going to try to push the clubs maybe a little bit more this year? They have the new drivers. They seem to be pretty excited about it. It's definitely a step change from them and thought process. So I disagree. I thought the booth was great. Was there a buzz in there? I don't know. That's personal, right?
It was packed.
But
were a lot of people
I
there.
actually think Titleist did a really nice job with the booth. The box packaging is not my favorite either, but I bet you they sell a few of them.
Yeah,
To be honest,
probably.
I don't buy based on packaging, so
And nor should anyone,
Yeah.
right? I mean, no one should. And you know, we talk about the packaging, and I was one of the ones who was a little bit of a naysayer about the packaging, unquestionably. But you know, most people, I'll use a different company just to take it off of the Pro V1. You know, I think of Bridgestone. A lot of people on the Bridgestone, they may not even know what ball they play, but I play the black box, I play the blue box, I play the
Right,
red box.
that's true.
So it really is a way for someone to quickly know to recognize their ball. So unless the box is just a train wreck of monumental proportions, it's really a selection method in many regards. So yeah, not my favorite design. Wouldn't be the one I would necessarily pick, but they're still going to sell an awful lot of golf balls. It's still going to be the number one ball in golf. They're going to number the one ball on tour. They're going to do okay.
So our final question to wrap this up.
Yep.
This is your first show. You might not have the info. You were here 6 years ago.
I was,
You're
yeah.
here now. This is 20 in a row for
20
you.
in a row.
11 for me. What? They wanted to talk about expansion, contraction. How is the show different over the years? The evolution of the PGA Show.
Question that came in was regarding the evolution of the PGA Show. You've been here for the first time, 20 in a row. I was here, this is my second time. I was here 6 years ago. The question focusing on the expansion, the contraction, changes within the show. One thing that I've noticed to kind of kick it off is just really the placement of everything. I was trying to get my bearings the first couple days, and I remember everything kind of being the opposite of what it is now. And so that was a little interesting to me, but from someone who's come 20 times in a row, what was your input?
So I think it's we're definitely on the upswing,
Yeah.
and that's the good news. I mean, the hallways were twice as wide not too many years ago, and there
Right.
was half as many people, and they weren't spending the money on the booths. So the good news is, you know, the bottom we were past that, and we're upswinging again. I think there is more vibe, buzz, whatever you term in the show this year. It's not an overwhelming thing of 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But 20 years ago, the show really, I mean, it was a business endeavor because you spent business money, but there was no factor in ROI. It was kind of a big party. It's
Right,
like, hey,
yeah.
let's get the golf industry together. You know, we're going to party. We're going to spend money frivolously. We're going to do really good at feeding ourselves. A lot of people are going to get drunk, and we're going to do it all over again for 4 days.
Wait, that's
Fair,
not
we
what
still do
that's
that.
not what that is.
Some of that is still true. But now it's much more business oriented.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to spend X, and we want to get this, either, you know, monetary outcome, this number of clicks, this number of views, this number of impressions, whatever the case. John Kim is coming
John
in.
Kim's
so,
coming.
John, please.
Okay, would you like to join
so
us?
that's what's going on.
Yeah.
yeah, come on in.
Only on for
But
another
over
couple minutes,
but
so-
over 20 years, you know, it really the show is not back to what it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But it probably should have never been there.
Right.
Because the costs were crazy, and
Yeah.
they didn't make sense from a business standpoint, and now it's being right sized if you want
Yeah.
to. John Kim, everybody.
So John Kim.
Everybody,
If you're not following
Happy
John
PGA.
Kim,
Oh,
let's
you
take
can't
this
leave me
guy's
hanging
Twitter.
now.
Yeah.
no idea what you guys are talking about, but let me just
You can
add.
actually answer this
Yeah.
question.
What
Brilliant.
what
You were
number?
on this side before,
Yes.
the media side. Now you're an exhibitor.
On the
How has
retailer
the
side.
show changed, evolved over the last few years?
And what number show is this for you, by the way?
49, he said.
Yeah,
yes.
73,
73rd
74.
show.
Guys, I tell you, the first 2 or 3 trips to Orlando are really fun. The 10th, not as much. I enjoy it a little bit more, I think, from a retailer side, because you have a very strategic focus for us, for me. On the media side, you guys work your rears off. That's a lot of walking and a lot of talking.
Other
a lot.
media do not.
No, yeah, not you guys. I meant real media. I think the show is smarter. I think that people come with a little bit more intention now. At least the folks that I've dealt with.
You know, we're having a
It's a
lighthearted
couple-
show here. You don't need to go eat.
Oh, okay, yeah, and there's fewer booth babes, which that hurts.
Hashtag booth babe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I think the show. When I say smarter, I think people really have gotten very cognizant of. I mean, it's not like they're trying to save money. You can look around, and some of these companies have gone just over the top, which is
US
awesome.
kids.
Yeah.
U.S. kids, U.S. kids and Callaway are kind of the same. But it's good people. It's good time. Just it's long days.
Yeah.
And it would have been a longer night had you not stood us up.
No, thank you
Yeah.
for costing me $11 on a lift ride that never
Oh,
occurred. I
my
appreciate
goodness.
that. That's
Oh, my-
all right.
And
But
re-
I'm not bitter. Or
Real
anything.
quick, Gary, from the first year perspective, any thoughts regarding it?
It's gigantic in here. There's a lot of walking, as we just heard, and we haven't even seen it all yet. This will be the third day on the floor for us, and I still haven't seen everything. I can't quite wrap my mind around that. I was told that coming in. I didn't believe it. Believe the hype.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, guys, we're going to sign off now, but we're going to be back later. We're going to try to do this again this afternoon. Internet service, letting us do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have a lot of content coming at you. We might even see John Kim later today.
I'd love it. Come